not only does IP create a distortion by restricting the use of knowledge, it does something even worse. It creates an even worse distortion, monopoly power. There's actually a long history of these kinds of abusive uses of intellectual property rights. Going back at the beginning of the last century, the automobile was one of the most important innovations, the airplane, and both of those, the success of those, the development of those were impeded by IPR. In the case of automobile, the patent was granted, an excessively generic patent was granted for a four-wheeled self-propelled vehicle. In the case of this automobile, the guy who got the patent had no intention of developing the patent of the automobile. He used it to form a cartel. And one of the things, those of you who have business school know that the best way of making money is not to come up with a better idea, but to form a monopoly, a cartel, restricting competition. Competitive marketplaces are very bad because they drive down prices and get rid of your profits. So the IPR is an important way of maintaining a cartel. And so most of the automobile companies went along with that, except for one. There was one innovator who had a different conception of what the automobile was about, and that was Henry Ford. He had the idea of a people's car, low price, that was totally inconsistent with the cartel's view of a high price, restricted usage. And he challenged the patent. Had he not had the resources and the determination, he might not have been, he would not have challenged it and would not have succeeded. He eventually succeeded. If he had failed, the development of the automobile would have been delayed for a long time. Given the concerns about global warming, that might have been a good thing, but that was not one of the issues that was on the agenda at the time. That the patent system does not reward people on the basis of what is the marginal social return of their contribution. It's a proxy for that, and it's a very bad proxy. And a result of that, it introduces a distortion. And everything after this is in a way of second, third, and fourth best economics. And so that really is, in one sense, the critical insight. The marginal social return is having the innovation available earlier than it otherwise would have been. That is to say, if the idea was going to happen anyway, by somebody else, then your contribution is just that the idea occurred a little earlier. For those of us who write articles, this is always a very frustrating thing. We like to ignore this. We think that, you know, if I had not solved the problem of how markets with asymmetric information worked, the problem would not have been solved. But the reality is that I know that somebody else would have done it, maybe the next day, or certainly the next month, or the next year, or maybe 10 years, but it would have happened. So I can't really claim that the contribution wasn't really solving it. It was really solving a little bit faster than anybody else did. And that's what ought to be rewarded, if you believe in rewards corresponding to people's marginal social returns. And economic efficiency requires that people's compensation is related to their marginal social returns.